So today I'm joined by Anna Julia. So thank you so much for joining us today. So you're a fellow top 50 Global Student Prize finalist, and you're involved in so many initiatives. So I was very impressed with reading through your profile, particularly from the environmental peace building aspect. So I can't wait to hear more about that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you as well, Elliott. I'm so proud to be here today.
Thank you. So I appreciate that you're from a city called, is it Maceió in Brazil?
Yes.
Maceió, oh, fantastic. So I'm not too familiar with Rio, but I was doing a bit of Googling, and it looks like such a fascinating place and very diverse. What's the area like there, and what challenges or opportunities have you found?
Well, if you Google it, it's like a really tourist area because it's Brazil. Like everywhere has to be a little bit tourist because it's how we get money. However, it's just the half of city that is like this. I live on the other half, like the poor half. So here we are from the northwest of the country, and here we are not well developed in many areas like education. So it's a little bit difficult to, I don't know, start something or do something that matters to us, or even develop extracurricular activities.
And I did read about your Lego League robotics competition, which sounds absolutely amazing. I wish I was able to compete in it. It sounds incredible. So how did that actually come about? Because is that something that you helped in founding and you competed in as well? How did that work, and where do you see that going in the future?
Well, actually, in my city, there wasn't any robots competition, like bigger robots competition. And I remember that there was a statewide competition that every year I wanted to participate in, but I never got the chance. But one year there was this first Lego League competition, is the name of the competition, and it was open to selection of members. And I went to participate, even if anybody else wanted to participate. I remember it was 10 people trying to get in the team, and there was 7 spots on the team, so it wasn't hard to get in because it wasn't something that people believed in. I remember that some people used it to call us coffee with milk. Then in Brazil, it means someone who is inexperienced or doesn't have the abilities or skills to do something. So we were actually trying to initiate something in our state, but people didn't believe us. I remember that I said to my father that I was going to Bahia. There was another state to participate in this robots competition, and he said "You're not going. We are going." So we went. And the first year, we didn't actually won many awards. We were in the last place to go to the national stage, and we went. And on the second week, however, we spent months training. I remember that we spent our summer break training in the morning, afternoon, and even in the night. We actually slept at school sometimes because we really wanted to achieve something, because we wanted to prove that we are not coffee with milk. So in the second year, we went to this state, Bahia, to compete in this regional competition. And we went home with the first place Champions Award. It was the first place of the competition. And we were so happy because it was something that no one had achieved in my city. So when we get back home, we get to school, I remember that people put us in a room and let us stay in there for some time. But when we get out of the room, there was the entire school with foodie, confetti, and a lot of I don't know the name of it in English, but it was paper with some letters that said congratulations and everything. And it was really happy because it was the first time I had ever done it, and no one believed in us before, but right now everybody's congratulating us. So it's really actually something very happy. And I remember that after this experience, in my school, everyone changed. I said it to you before, there was 10 people trying to get on the selection member the year I participated in. However, after we came home with the first place and after everybody cheered for us, there was hundreds. I swear, there's 300 people trying to get in the thing. And I'm oh my God, the team just have 7 spots. We don't get enough spots for everybody. So it was very nice because I felt before anybody thought that we and my state could achieve something. And right now, everybody's thinking that they can achieve something. So we are changing not only our visions about ourselves, but our peers' visions about themselves. Because right now, 300 people at least is trying to achieve something because they now believe that it's possible.
And I was reading as well about your programming guide that you created. Was that in relation to this?
Yeah.
Because to me, it seemed like there was a correlation, and I didn't know if it was because of the robotics course you actually thought people actually needed some extra support in programming. Is that how this came about? And with that program course, what has that the impact of that been?
Yes. Actually, I always knew that my time on the team would be limited because I'm always growing and I cannot participate in this competition like uniquely up to 16 years old. So I stopped this competition 2 years ago, but I participated in other ones. So on my last year, personally, I thought that I should do something because I knew that people who would come after me would have a lot of problems. Because when I started, I didn't start in the programming area. I started on the scientific history area. And after this, in the second year, our only programmer, he suffered from a disease, a mental disease. So he had to leave the team. So anybody else knew, no one knew how to actually program the robot. So we were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And I remember that we had like 2 weeks before the championship. So we were like, oh my God, that's impossible. We can't do it. And everybody was saying, you can do it, you have to give up. But I was like, no, we can do it. So with these 2 weeks, I got on the programming area. So I was like trying to get the team on their feet. And with this 2 weeks experience, I actually got to do something. I wasn't actually good on the first time we participated, but on the second I was better and even better. And I remember that in one of the competitions we got the first place programming award. That was like something really big to me because of all these problems that came to our reality. So I knew that after I got out of the team, the people who would come to the team would have the same problem because we didn't have experience. There was no one to actually taught us it, like you have to do this, to do this. And when we think about programming in this competition, actually they don't have like really basic stuff to teach us. And what I could develop was something I consider really amazing because we could won the first place programming award, and there was a lot of innovations that people didn't know about that could really happen. So I started coming back after the training. I think at the nights I came back from the training and I started doing this guide. And it was something that I presented in the competition, but it was something as well that I could give to the teams of my state.
There's also an aspect here, I think, around like the environmental work that you're doing, which is fantastic, particularly around like the sustainable aerator that you created and co-created.
So as I said before, I live in a region, there's a lot of poverty. And here we have a lot of subsistent livestock. There's like goats and a lot of animals that produce milk that live in a really subsistent scenario, really poor scenario where people wasn't getting enough money to live or getting enough milk, quality of milk to live. And here in Brazil, agriculture and meat production is really important because part of our income comes from that. However, 90% of these people are not in a really entrepreneurial state. So we thought we could develop a mechanism to improve this quality, the quality of water, and then the quality of milk produced from the animals. And as we didn't have enough money and we couldn't use electrical energy, we thought about like using the wind, and then using things that was discarded in the streets to actually produce it. I remember that we went like picking things on the street and saying like, oh my God, we could use it or we could use it. And I remember as well that you use a lot of things that was discarded by companies. That was like a lot of companies that was producing something and they discarded like iron and a lot of things. And we catch them up and develop this mechanism. And we couldn't actually prove that this mechanism could actually do some change in the milk because we didn't have enough material to do it. However, I hope in the future we can do it. So I think it is one of the projects I'm most proud of because it's something that's to the community and as well as something where I can develop my skills. So I'm actually pretty proud of it. And recently, we actually were qualified to international competitions in Argentina and Peru to actually present this project. And I hope that with this experience, we can have a lot of people who actually could help us develop it.
I was just wondering where's like your driving force coming from? What's like empowering you to like want to like get involved in these projects and make these sorts of changes because they are for some of us, they do seem quite broad ranging. And like, where do you see it going forward?
Yes, as I said before, I had experience to actually suffer from a stereotype, and people say they see us as someone who cannot achieve something, and then we can achieve it. So I became passionate in this type of communities, like the communities that people don't see anything that could like become of it, but then we actually do something, create a project that can actually change that community. When I see a community that no one thinks that can change, or when I see a community that no one thinks that can become something bigger, I always say, no, that can't be something bigger. So that's actually something that really drives me.
That is really inspirational, and it sounds like you've got so many fantastic ideas, and it's and the way in which you're like implementing them to like support others in your community is something that's is very praiseworthy, and it's fantastic that you've had such an impact on those. Thank you ever so much for sharing like your like journey with us today. There's a lot of that I've definitely learned. I'm sure everyone else who will be watching this has learned as well.
Yes, thank you so much as well for this opportunity. I'm so proud that I can share my knowledge and that I can help people actually do something in the future.